season. So the Yankees are hoping for good things from him after Steven Drew's, barely batting over 200 seasons. I know 2014 he batted like 170. Number 7 on the list, another guy who struggled last season as a starting pitcher after, looking very strong for quite some time. That's Doug Fister, who signed a 1-year, $7 million contract with the not the Houston Oilers, the Houston Astros. He struggled a bit last season. He did miss some time due to a forearm flexor strain. Overall in the season, he went 5-7 with a 4.19 ERA and a 1.40 WHIP. He lost his starting job to, I believe, Joe Ross during the season, so was pitching out of the bullpen toward the end of the season. And this is a guy who just in 2014 had a great season, 16-6, 2.41 ERA and a 1.08 WHIP. And after the Nationals signed Max Scherzer last offseason, people are saying now this might be the best pitching staff of all time. Scherzer, Strasburg, Zimmerman, Gio Gonzalez, and Doug Fister. Well, Fister didn't pan out. Tanner Roark, when he made his starts, did not look like the pitcher that he was in 2014. Strasburg started off horribly, then got hurt, but then came back really strong. But, Fister was just one of many Nationals who disappointed when, going into the season. They were seen as the favorites to win the World Series by many. And, the Astros already have Dallas Keuchel, Colin McHugh, and Lance McCullers in their rotation. So much like the White Sox, a strong top 3. And, Fister, he has a season like he did, look at from 2011 to 2014 when he went 51-38 with a 3.11 ERA. Pitches similar to that, and the Astros got a great top 4 in their starting rotation. Number 6 on the list is Jason Hayward, who signed with this season's most people's favorite to win the World Series, the Chicago Cubs. And, if you saw that NLCS, you saw them struggle on defense. Guys like Kyle Schwarber just does not look, strong in left field. Has played catcher, doesn't look strong there, but they'll have Jason Hayward manning right field, where most people see him as the best defensive right fielder in baseball. He won his 3rd Gold Glove there this past season. He was actually gonna play center field, but surprisingly, after it was said that the Orioles were going to sign Dexter Fowler, well, no, he re-signed with the Cubs, so Fowler will man center field. Hayward will stay in his natural position of right field. He had a career high last season with the Cardinals with a 293 average, 33 doubles, and 23 stolen bases, while finishing 15th in MVP voting. The Cubs ballpark isn't one of the largest, and he just hasn't replicated the power he did in 2012 when he hit 27 homers. In his other 5 seasons, he's averaged 14 homers per season. So we'll see if for the second time in his career he could reach that 20 home run plateau. Great player though overall. Pretty much 5-tool player, does it all. Jason Hayward, number 6 on the list. Number 5 on the list is a guy who broke a postseason record last season by homering in 6 straight games. Was pretty much the talk of baseball for a week and a half, and that's Daniel Murphy. Went to a division rival after spending his whole career with the Mets. He will now play second base for the Washington Nationals after they signed him to a 3-year, $37.5 million contract. Now, as much as he was on top of the world, in that NLDS and NLCS, struggled in the World Series, went 3 for 20, made a costly error that may have cost the Mets a game. You gotta wonder where that power came from. He's always been a doubles hitter. He's averaged 38 doubles in the last 4 seasons, and last season was actually his career high in the regular season in home runs with 14. He's a career 288 hitter, hit 281 last season. Of course, As Mets fans know, he provides great offense, but his defense is subpar. So we'll see if Daniel Murphy can help the Nats turn around what was a very disappointing season last year, and if he could duplicate that postseason power that he showed out of nowhere. Number 4 on the list is a guy who signed, I don't believe, not even a week ago, and he's going to try a new position that he's never played in his career. Spent his whole career with the Washington Nationals, and that is Ian Desmond, who was a shortstop during his time there. In his 7-year career, he's played 2 games in the outfield, right field, where he played 7 1/3 total innings. But he won't be playing shortstop this season, at least to begin. He will be in left field. Josh Hamilton's expected to miss the first month of the season. And, Josh Hamilton clearly isn't the player that once won the AL MVP in, I believe, 2010. So if Ian Desmond shows the ability to play that left field, he may keep that starting position throughout the season. The Rangers have Elvis Andrews at shortstop. Hasn't quite lived up to that big contract, but I don't really foresee him getting benched. So Josh Hamilton may have to sit out games. Prince Fielder already their DH. I doubt he would get the DH spot over him. Ian Desmond was a Silver Slugger Award winner for NL shortstops from 2012 to 2014. Over that span, he had a .275 average and averaged 23 homers, 32 doubles, 81 RBIs, and 22 stolen bases a season. As I mentioned with Doug Fister, a lot of Nationals had disappointing seasons last year. Ian Desmond was one of those guys. Average dipped all the way down to .233, had 19 homers, 13 stolen bases, and 62 RBIs. So, not quite this season that he had been used to, but if he could provide halfway decent defense in left field, he will be definitely a quality player for the reigning AL West champions as they look to repeat as their division crown and, possibly get further in the playoffs. And my top 3 are all pitchers. Let's start with number 3. Johnny Cueto. I said I'd talk about him, and here we are. This is a guy who won, now he's the starting pitcher for the San Francisco Giants after ending last season with the Royals and pitching his whole career with the Reds prior to that. This is a guy who in 2014 finished second in NL Cy Young voting, and he also finished 4th in NL Cy Young voting in 2012. You look at that 2014 season, went 20-9 with a 2.25 ERA and 242 strikeouts. Fast forward one season, and his overall numbers: 11-13, 3.44 ERA, and 176 Ks. But if you look at just his 13 starts he made with the Royals, because he was still pitching well with the Reds before the trade, but with the Royals, 4-7 with a 4.76 ERA. Saw his Ks dip all the way to 6.2 Ks per 9 innings. People were wondering what was going on with him. Struggled, but then starts a game in the World Series, pitches a complete game 2-hitter, only giving up 1 run. So, showed everyone he's still got it. He's pitched at least 212 innings in each of the last 3 seasons. Not including last season, if you look at 2011 through 2014, he went 53-25 with a 2.48 ERA in those 4 seasons. So, Johnny Cueto may have just had an off season last year, and of course it is an even year. The last 3 even years, the Giants have won the World Series. Can they make it 4 in a row? A lot may depend on Johnny Cueto, whether he could be that co-ace for the Giants along with Madison Bumgarner. Number 2 on the list, 2009 AL Cy Young winner, and was a runner-up for the NL Cy Young last season. Also has 2 other top 10 Cy Young finishes. That is Zach Greinke, who surprised nearly everyone. Not necessarily by leaving the Dodgers, but by joining the Arizona Diamondbacks. That really came out of left field. No one expected them to shell out the kind of money it was needed to sign Zach Greinke. If you look at his season last year, 19-3, Major League Best 1.66 ERA, 200 strikeouts, and a Major League Best .84 WHIP. Pretty much in any other season he would have won Cy Young, but Jake Arrieta had an all-time great second half of the season, edged out Greinke for that Cy Young. In Greinke's past 3 seasons, all with the Dodgers, he went 51-15 with a 2.30 ERA. So Diamondbacks were around a 500 team for much of last season. Wasn't really because of their starting pitching, though. Offense from guys like Paul Goldschmidt, A.J. Pollock, and David Peralta. Provided plenty of offense. I believe they finished either second or third in the NL in runs. So they still have holes, though, the Diamondbacks, in their lineup. They also traded for Shelby Miller, who did not have a good record last year, but that's just because the Braves were a bad team. You look at his other stats, and he definitely had a fine season. So it's definitely a good top 2. Patrick Corbin's a solid third starter. After that, though, I believe Robbie De La Rosa. So not exactly a great back half of the starting rotation, but, if Greinke's as dominant as he was last season, perhaps he could get the Diamondbacks in the playoffs. And number 1 on the list is a guy who finished also as a runner-up for Cy Young, him being in the AL. He's 2012 AL Cy Young winner, runner-up for AL Cy Young in 2010. That is David Price, who started last season with the Tigers before moving on to the Blue Jays as they made it to the ALCS. Last season overall with both teams, he went 18-5 with a 2.45 ERA, 225 strikeouts, but was even more dominant in his 11 starts with the Blue Jays when he went 9-1 with a 2.30 ERA. Look at his career. He's had 4 seasons with at least 205 strikeouts, 5 seasons with over 200 innings, twice led the American League in ERA. Definitely been a dominant pitcher. And, the Red Sox, as you know, just did not have good starting pitching at all last season. And here they are with, arguably a top 3 or 4 pitcher. Some may even say the best in baseball. I mean, it depends on who you ask, but, definitely top 5 at least. Where he struggled, though, is the postseason, and a lot of people are picking the Red Sox as the favorite in the AL East. But if you look at his career postseason numbers, in 14 games, 8 of which are starts, he is 2-7 with a 5.12 ERA. So, not quite sure what is the cause of those postseason struggles. There's another dominant pitcher that, faced those same questions heading into last year, that being Clayton Kershaw. And Kershaw, I believe, pitched very well in last season's last postseason. So, those questions are not asked as loudly now. So, all it takes is one dominant postseason, and, everyone forgets what happened, in his previous history. Still a dominant pitcher, and, one after the Red Sox finished with a disappointing last place finish last year. If Price could be as dominant as he's been, they should definitely turn things around. They have other questions, of course. Can Pablo Sandoval bounce back from a miserable season? Same with Hanley Ramirez as he makes a position change to first base, but, some stellar young talent and Xander Bogaerts and Mookie Betts. So the Red Sox do got the talent to potentially win the division. Of course, they also traded for elite closer Craig Kimbrell. So, a lot of interesting players on new teams, and should be an interesting regular season. And as I mentioned, it starts 4 weeks from today. So, less than a minute till I have to get off the air. What's amazing, I just checked the score, 99-81 Lakers with 5 minutes and 5 seconds left. Wow. Every loss counts when they're trying to get the best record in NBA history. This would be loss number 6 unless they make a miracle comeback. That would mean they would have to go 17-4 the rest of the way to tie the Chicago Bulls, and 18-3 to break the record. We'll see if they could do it in a few weeks. 13 seconds left. Thank you all for listening. Check out my website, allsportsfansunite.com. I've been ranking all starting players and baseball. Till next week, goodbye.